Hello guys, here is a Boston Harbor outdoor rated ceiling fan. I'm not going to show you guys the information tag because the information tag is going to be blurry because the way the lighting is in this room. But this is a model number AC-55200 and it's from May of 2017. So, an older Boston Harbor fan in my collection. This fan here, fun fact, is still under manufacture today. This fan here is sold at at quite the variance of prices, as we've seen with all the other Boston Harbor fans. This fan at cheapest, I believe, is sold for or on sale for $115, I think, somewhere in the ballpark around there. On Amazon, which you can bypass the shipping fee if you buy it from there, they sell it for $134 or something like that, around the ballpark, around that price. Which, quite the variance of prices. I got this fan from one of the hardware stores I went to on my New York City trip, and I paid $90 and change for it, which it was one of the older hardware stores that was like on the streets or something that we went to. And there were two Boston Harbor fans that I picked up. One was a polished brass Littleton looking fan, and the other was this fan. It was pretty much, from what I've been told, it's a Litex all-weather fan copy, which, believe it or not, it's still under manufacture today. You can buy it from Amazon for $160, and I believe it actually does include the factory light kit, which has a much fancier shade than what this light has. This fan the light kit that I have right here, it's not original. It's something I added. The shade here is a lot more plain looking, but it's an okay looking shade. There's certainly much uglier ones that exist than that shade. But I would prefer to have that shade, but I don't know if it would be $160 just to have this fan with the factory light kit would be a good use of money, because I mean, my job doesn't pay a super high number, and because I'm an adult, I'm paying my own bills now. It likely wouldn't be a super good use of money, because I now have to use money for needs now that I'm an adult. So, yeah. But otherwise, this fan here, despite it being modern and not at a super expensive price, this thing here really does perform pretty good. I'll show you guys the light here. I'm using two 40-watt equivalent DEL Sylvania vintage bulbs in here, which I actually find work very well for this room. I have a dimmer here so I can dim it down to whatever I want. I have to get that dimmer replaced. That dimmer was not meant to take DELs, but I just can't be bothered to replace that. So now I'll turn the fan on. Here is low. And in case I haven't mentioned this, this fan originally didn't come with a light kit at all, which is why I added this light kit here so that I would have a light for the bedroom. This is low speed here, and I do feel a pretty gentle but steady stream of airflow coming from this thing, which is good. That's how a low is supposed to be in my book. And I think this is up to speed now. I think I could do a nanometer test. We'll go with about 98. It was pretty steady on 98. And we're going to use 13 as the number because this is a 52-inch fan and there's a 10-inch circle of no air coming out of this. So we'll do 13 times 98. That's 1,274 CFM. And that's not much, but for a low, you don't want a super high number. You want a pretty low number, in fact. Here's medium. And this fan here, other than the airflow noise, which is what I can tolerate, this thing is very quiet. I absolutely can sleep with this. And when I was doing the demonstration of this, some of you may remember that this fan had a bit of a bearing noise at first, but that bearing noise has gone away with usage. After all, this fan has been sitting in the box for almost a decade, so that's a factor to consider here. We'll go with 334 for medium. So my calculator will do 334 times 13. That's 4,342 CFM. So yeah, pretty good for a 52-inch fan on medium. And now high. And this thing here is just a powerhouse of airflow. If I recall correctly, this thing did push to the 6,000 range. Alright, let's check here. We'll go with about 492. That was pretty steady at that. So 492 times 13, that's 6,396 CFM. So almost 6,400 CFM. That's actually quite a bit above average for a 52-inch fan. A good average for a 52-inch fan for CFM is about 5,000 CFM. And this thing is almost pushing to 6,400 CFM. So this is really quite a high-performance fan for the price point of what this is sold at. This thing right here does outperform quite a few fans in my collection, including some more expensive models. This thing here outperforms the Carriage House 2. This thing here outperforms the other Boston Harbor fans that I had, including the ones I had to pay a higher price for. I really don't understand why Boston Harbor is not a very popular fan brand. I mean, as I was saying, this thing outperforms some Boston Harbor fans I have, but those other Boston Harbor fans were also very good as well. But this thing right here, for the price point and for the amount of air it's pushing, I really think this is worth every penny. $90. And $90 really is not a bad price for something like this at all. Because when you go to Home Depot or Menards, you're not going to see much of anything below $90. And those models that are below $90, with the exception of the Littleton from Home Depot or the Eros, which both of those fans are actually getting up there now, but all the rest of those fans are all hideous. So I think $90 for something like this is totally acceptable. Of course, that is what I bought from that one hardware store in New York City. They likely don't have prices that low in real life, or you'll likely not ever see a price that low, unless if it's a secondhand item. But this fan is sold for, I think, $115 on at cheapest, but this is worth every penny, $115. This thing's not ugly. It looks like it came straight out of the 90s or the 2000s. And it's still under manufacture. As of the time of this taping, you can buy as many of these as you want. And they're really good fans too. Especially for pushing almost 6,400 CFM. This thing doesn't quite outperform the Casablancas, but it's not that far from it. There's certain Hunter fans in my collection that this outperforms, and those were more expensive as well. There's higher end Hampton Bay fans that I have in my collection. This fan right here outperforms those. And this right here, I would say would outperform a lot of the ugly modern ceiling fans that would be at that same price point of $115. Not the cheap $90 deal that I got from the hardware store. The real $115 at most cases. This thing here would probably outperform all those fans as well. Well, maybe not all of them, but most of them for sure. This thing is just a phenomenal fan. Yeah, that's no joke at all. I'll shut this thing off here because I don't have a lot of film left on my camera here. Yeah, this thing rocks. I felt every little bit. 6,400 CFM. That's phenomenal, especially for a cheaper product. Alright guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and thank you guys for watching. Bye.